Chosen one, stop what you are doing right now and lock every part of your attention onto my voice. That urge you feel to scroll past this message is not an accident. You must resist it with everything you have. The enemy has been working overtime against you for one reason and one reason only. They know exactly what shifts in the atmosphere the moment you hear these words. You did not find this message by chance today. The algorithm did not bring you here to waste your time. This is a divine appointment scheduled before the foundations of the earth. I know exactly what the last few weeks have felt like for you. You have been walking through a terrible fire that no one else can see, and you are exhausted down to your very bones. Let me describe your reality right now so you know I see you. You wake up at 3 in the morning. There is a heavy weight sitting squarely on your chest. You cannot explain this intense pressure to anyone around you. Sleep does not actually rest your tired body anymore. You just close your eyes and wake up feeling more drained than when you laid down. You walk through your own home and feel like a total stranger. The atmosphere around you has been completely strange and heavy lately. Conversations seem to stop the exact moment you walk into a room, and people you used to deeply trust are suddenly pulling away from you without any logical explanation that makes sense. You feel completely isolated. This is not normal exhaustion from a long week. You are not just tired from working hard at your job. This is a profound spiritual drain that is actively pulling at your core energy. You sit in your car before going inside your house, and you stare blankly at the steering wheel while gathering every last drop of energy just to smile. And inside your mind is a constant and brutal battlefield. The loud whispers in your head tell you that you are finally losing it, and they try to convince you that all of this pain is entirely your own fault. They say you are simply being too sensitive again. But you need to hear this truth right now. You are not crazy. You are not making this up. What you are feeling in your spirit is absolutely real. The intense pressure around your life is real. The sudden wave of anxiety that hits you out of nowhere is a real symptom. And I am confirming it to you right now so you can stop questioning your own sanity. You have been carefully targeted. This was a highly coordinated attack against your life and your divine calling. Look back closely at the events of the past few months. Everything hit you all at once without any warning. It was not just one small thing going wrong in your day. It was a relentless cascade of betrayals and setbacks and strange illnesses. As soon as you recovered from one heavy blow, another one came crashing down from out of nowhere, making sure you could not even catch your breath. This dark season was designed to break you completely. It was perfectly crafted to make you surrender your assignment. The enemy wanted you to look at your ruined life and believe that heaven had abandoned you. They wanted you to feel so painfully isolated that you would just give up and walk away from your destiny. But you are still standing here. They threw everything they possibly had at you. They brought the people you loved the most to deeply betray you. They attacked your finances when you were already feeling incredibly vulnerable, and they messed with your physical health just to keep you grounded in constant pain. But despite all of that massive coordination, the plan failed. You did not break under the pressure. You might feel like you are barely surviving right now. You might feel like you are desperately hanging onto a thin thread, but survival is still a powerful victory. And your survival is terrifying to the dark forces that tried to take you out. You absorbed a massive blow that was meant to end your existence entirely, and you are still breathing today. I need you to let that profound reality sink in. You survived a calculated assassination attempt on your spirit. Most normal people would have completely crumbled under a tiny fraction of that intense pressure, and they would have lost their minds by now. But you just kept putting one foot in front of the other. Even when you were crying in the dark, you did not quit. This message is your ultimate validation. Every tear you cried in secret was clearly seen by heaven. Every time you screamed into your pillow because the unfairness of it all was too much, it was recorded. You have been carrying the massive weight of a giant on your tired shoulders, and you have carried it with incredible silent grace. Do not click away from this video under any circumstances. In the next few minutes, I am going to reveal exactly why this specific attack was permitted to happen. I am going to expose the massive lie that the enemy planted in your mind during your darkest hour. And I will give you the exact powerful declaration to seal your absolute victory. You are standing right now at the edge of a massive shift. The deep confusion you feel today is just the smoke clearing from the battlefield. The attack was brutal because the enemy saw what you are about to step into. They clearly saw the magnitude of your upcoming season, and they panicked. That is why they hit you so hard this time. But their deep panic only proves your true power. If you were truly weak, they would not have needed such a massive army to fight you. They would not have had to work overtime just to make you doubt yourself. Your pain is the undeniable evidence of your profound threat to their kingdom. You are a walking weapon in this world. Take a deep and steady breath right now. Feel the cool air completely filling up your tired lungs. That breath is absolute proof that the assignment against your life was entirely cancelled. The dark plan to destroy you failed miserably. You are still standing strong. And now it is time for you to understand exactly what you are made of. Listen closely to what comes next. But here is where the narrative of your journey delves far deeper than most are willing to perceive. You have been looking at this entire season through the wrong lens. You thought you were being actively punished for something you did wrong. And you believed your deep isolation was a clear sign that you were fundamentally flawed or unworthy of love. That is the exact lie the enemy desperately needed you to swallow. They needed you to look at your empty room and feel an overwhelming sense of rejection. But let me reframe your entire reality right now. Your isolation was never a punishment. It was a holy consecration. The universe did not remove those people to abandon you in the dark. Those people were removed so heaven could finally speak to you without their loud interference. Your deep isolation is not evidence of your disqualification from a good life. It is the absolute evidence of your divine selection. You were carefully pulled apart from the crowd because you are carrying something that the crowd simply cannot understand. If you had stayed connected to them, their doubt would have eventually contaminated your pure spirit. Their subtle jealousy would have quietly drained the massive assignment you were meant to fulfill. The enemy tried to use this heavy isolation to make you feel completely rejected, but heaven used it to completely protect your unique frequency. Think about the sheer intensity of the warfare you have recently faced. The dark forces do not waste premium attacks on people who do not have premium assignments. They do not send a massive storm to uproot a tiny and insignificant weed. The storm only comes for the strong tree that is about to bear a massive amount of life-changing fruit. Your profound pain is not a sign of your weakness at all. It is the exact opposite. The brutality of the attack is absolute proof of the massive threat you pose to their kingdom. They looked at your spirit and saw a giant waking up from a long sleep, and that realization sent an absolute shockwave of pure panic through their entire system. You have to understand the spiritual laws governing this universe. The darkness only fights what it deeply fears. If you were truly just an ordinary person, they would have simply left you alone. They would have let you live a comfortable and completely normal life. But you were never meant to blend in with the background noise of the world. You were explicitly designed to shift the atmosphere the moment you walk into any room. You carry a raw spiritual authority that makes the unseen world tremble. And because you carry that heavy mantle, you instantly became a major target. The attack was not a sign that you are failing at life. It was a dark confirmation that you are actually succeeding. Every time you felt like you were completely falling apart, you were actually being violently dismantled. But there is a massive difference between being destroyed and being dismantled. Destruction leaves nothing behind but useless and broken ash. Dismantling is the painful but necessary process of taking down an old house to build a stronger fortress. You were not losing your mind during those lonely and sleepless nights. You were losing your limiting beliefs. The painful friction you felt in your chest was the old version of you burning away in the fire. You thought the fire was sent to consume you, but the fire was only sent to consume everything that was holding you back from your true power. This is why your intense sensitivity has always felt like a heavy curse. You feel the energy of other people so deeply that it often becomes overwhelming and entirely exhausting. They told you to toughen up and stop being so incredibly emotional all the time. But the sensitivity they told you to hide is actually a highly advanced spiritual radar. What you carry inside your heart is not a gaping wound. It is a highly calibrated weapon. You were built for a completely different frequency than the people around you. And when a high frequency clashes with a low frequency, the result is always a massive disruption. That disruption is the exact friction you have felt your entire long life. The people pulling away from you are not rejecting your personality. They are unconsciously sensing a powerful shift in your spirit that they cannot yet understand. They are quietly grieving the old version of you that they are about to lose forever. They know they cannot control the massive giant that you are quickly becoming right now. So they walked away, and you cried because you thought you did something terrible to them. But heaven orchestrated their exit to completely save your life. You were profoundly redirected. What left your life was simply making necessary room for what is meant for you. You had to endure this brutal season of empty hands so you could finally hold your true mantle. They wanted to trap you in a dark cycle of endless self-pity and paralyzing guilt. If you are busy crying over people who abandoned you, you cannot step into your true authority. If you are constantly doubting your own sanity, you will never use your powerful voice to command the room. They kept you distracted with pain to delay your inevitable rise. I need you to completely accept this new reality right now. You are not a helpless victim of a cruel and random universe. You are a highly trained spiritual warrior who just survived a brutal initiation. The intense suffering you endured was the rigorous training ground for your upcoming assignment, and you passed the hardest test of your entire life. And this brings us to something most people miss entirely. You must look back at the ancient records of the chosen ones. You will see a very clear and undeniable pattern. Every single person who carried a massive mantle had to endure a season that looked exactly like a dark grave before they saw the light. They were pushed completely past their human breaking point. Look closely at the ancient story of Joseph. He was a deeply sensitive dreamer with a profound calling. He carried a highly unique frequency that his own family could not comprehend. And because they could not understand his massive destiny or the strange dreams he kept having, they grew incredibly jealous of his light. His own brothers threw him violently into a dark pit. They looked down at him and celebrated their dark victory. They truly believed they had finally killed his annoying dreams. Joseph sat in that cold dirt feeling completely betrayed. He was terrified and entirely alone in the darkness. He probably asked heaven why he was being punished so brutally for simply sharing the profound truth that was burning inside his innocent heart. But that dark pit was never an actual grave. It was a holy and necessary divine passage. The enemy thought the pit would completely silence his powerful voice forever. But heaven used that exact pit as a necessary vehicle to safely transport him to his ultimate and glorious destiny in the royal palace. Without the brutal betrayal, he would have never been sold into Egypt. He sat in cold chains for crimes he did not commit. It was deeply unfair and incredibly painful to endure. But without that lonely prison experience, he would have remained stuck. He would have never stood before the king to save the entire world. Do you see the profound spiritual pattern here today? The enemy played perfectly into the hands of the divine plan. They thought they were burying him in the cold earth, but they were actually planting a powerful seed that would grow. The very things sent by the darkness to destroy him were the exact things heaven used to permanently elevate him to his rightful throne. Your current situation operates on the exact same spiritual law. You feel like you have been thrown away by everyone. You feel the cold walls of your isolation closing in right now. You look up and wonder how you will ever survive this massive betrayal. But you are looking at your current season through the narrow lens of human logic, instead of seeing the massive spiritual blueprint unfolding. This dark pit is not your final resting place at all. It is your ultimate preparation room. The people who betrayed you did not actually derail your destiny. They simply acted as the painful transportation method. They pushed you completely out of your comfortable spaces. Heaven knew you would never have the courage to leave those familiar places on your own. You were too deeply loyal to the wrong people. You kept trying to pour your premium energy into them. Those old connections were completely expired and draining your precious life. So the universe had to violently shake the tree to force all of the dead leaves to finally fall away from your branches. It felt exactly like a massive punishment in the moment, but it was a dramatic and highly coordinated rescue mission. When Joseph stepped into authority, everything made sense. The years of deep isolation finally aligned into a beautiful mosaic. He realized that his profound suffering was directly tied to his crown. The universe dictates that the heavier the specific calling on your life happens to be, the darker the preparation room has to be before you emerge. Your heavy burden is a direct reflection of your true power. The enemy looked at your life and tried to replicate that exact pit. They isolated you and spread false narratives about your character. They wanted you to die in the dark, feeling entirely unloved. But they made a fatal miscalculation when they attacked you, because they completely forgot that the dark pit is where your anointing actually multiplies and strengthens. In the intense silence, you discovered your true inner strength. You stopped relying on the loud validation of the crowd. You stopped needing them to tell you who you are. And you finally realized that your raw power comes directly from within your own spirit, completely independent of anyone else approving of your journey. This is the profound secret of the chosen ones. The heavy fire does not actually burn their sacred skin. It only burns the tight ropes that are holding them back. You walked into this season entirely bound by heavy expectations. But you are walking out of this intense fire completely free, and you are dangerously powerful because you no longer fear the dark places they threatened you with. They meant to completely destroy you with this latest attack, but instead they accidentally developed your greatest spiritual weapons. You have become an integrated warrior who knows exactly what they carry, and you are no longer willing to shrink down to make other people comfortable. The people who threw you away will eventually have to watch you rise. You will be operating on a completely different dimensional level, and you will not even carry any bitter anger toward them for what they did. You will simply thank them for the brutal push. That is the ultimate vindication of every single chosen one. But there is something underneath all of this that goes deeper. Once this truth clicks into place, you are ready for more. There is a profound and hidden secret about your specific frequency that perfectly explains why their heavy weapons malfunctioned when they tried to strike your spirit. Coming up in just a moment, I will expose it. But first, let this powerful truth settle deeply within you. Do not let anyone take this revelation away. Hold on to it tightly as we move forward. Here is that deeper root I promised you. Here is the profound secret about your specific frequency. The dark forces launched their heaviest weapons directly at your spirit. They fully expected you to shatter on impact, but the weapons mysteriously malfunctioned. They did not work at all. They failed because they hit a brand new frequency wall that they simply could not penetrate. You used to operate on a very low frequency of deep compliance. You always wanted to make everyone else comfortable, so you absorbed their heavy pain just to keep the fragile peace in the room. And the enemy knew exactly how to manipulate that specific version of you. They used false guilt to keep you trapped, and they used your massive empathy as a lethal weapon against you. But something incredibly powerful shifted while you were sitting in the dark. Your intense isolation actually forced your internal frequency to radically upgrade, because you finally realized that your divine assignment does not require their permission at all. You stopped begging for their validation, and that quiet realization changed your entire spiritual signature in the unseen realm. When the dark forces fired their weapons this time, they aimed at the old you. They targeted the fragile version of you that used to crumble under their harsh criticism, but that timid version of you does not exist anymore. The heavy weapons hit the new frequency of your profound sovereignty and simply bounced off. You have become spiritually bulletproof without even trying. This new frequency is not arrogant or loud. It is a very quiet and steady confidence that deeply terrifies the unseen world. You no longer react to their chaotic drama, and you just watch them spin in dizzy circles while you remain perfectly still. Your powerful stillness is the exact thing that neutralized their entire attack plan. They cannot fight someone who refuses to panic. People around you are starting to notice this massive shift. They cannot explain why they suddenly feel highly intimidated by your quiet presence. You are not doing anything aggressive or mean. You are just standing firmly in your authentic power, but your high frequency naturally exposes the deep shadows hiding inside of them. Your bright light forces them to see their own darkness. This is exactly why those old connections had to dramatically break away from you. A low frequency cannot survive in the presence of a high frequency without causing intense friction. They felt your powerful upgrade happening, and they felt the heavy conviction of their own unhealed trauma when they looked at you. And they ran away because your light was entirely too bright for their comfort. You thought they were rejecting you because you were fundamentally flawed, but they were actually retreating from the blinding heat of your new spiritual mantle. You are vibrating at a level of pure truth now, and pure truth is incredibly painful for people who are deeply committed to living in a comfortable lie. They had to leave so you could finally breathe clean air. Your spiritual immunity is now fully active. The old triggers that used to send you into a deep spiral simply do not work anymore, and you watch their manipulative behavior with nothing but calm detachment. This is the ultimate proof that the brutal dismantling process actually worked perfectly. You are finally free from the heavy chains of their constant approval. You might still feel physically exhausted from the massive transition. That is completely normal when your human body is catching up to a radical spiritual upgrade, so you must rest your physical vessel today. Drink water and breathe deeply. But do not ever confuse your physical fatigue with spiritual defeat. Your spirit has never been stronger or more vibrant than it is right now. The enemy is watching you right now in absolute horror. They threw their absolute worst storm at your life, but it only served to wash away the heavy mud that was covering your beautiful crown. They realize they have completely lost their dark grip on your life. You have officially crossed the sacred threshold into your true and lasting authority. They cannot drag you back. This frequency shift does not just protect you from dark attacks, it actively draws your true blessings directly toward you. The universe always responds to the exact signal you broadcast. When you broadcast pure sovereignty, heaven immediately dispatches the premium resources required for your massive assignment. Everything is aligning for you in the unseen realm right now. The painful cycle of being the chosen scapegoat is permanently over. You will never again shrink down to fit into their tiny boxes, and you will never again apologize for the massive light you carry. You are stepping into a season of untouchable grace, and the people who severely doubted you will have to stand back and watch it all unfold. Your vindication is already here. But there is a specific reason the enemy is absolutely terrified of what happens next. The frequency shift was only the very beginning of your massive transformation, and there is a deeper process happening inside of you right now that mirrors the most intense fires of creation. Coming up next, I will show you exactly what is forming in those hot flames. Do not look away. You must understand the profound nature of what just happened to your spirit. You were not simply placed in a difficult situation to learn a basic lesson. You were plunged directly into a roaring crucible. The intense heat you felt was not the fire of destruction, but it was the sacred fire of the master blacksmith carefully shaping your soul. When a master blacksmith wants to create a premium weapon, he does not treat the metal gently. He puts it in the hottest part of the blazing forge. He waits until the metal is soft and glowing red, and then he strikes it with a heavy hammer over and over again. The metal probably thinks it is being entirely destroyed, but the heavy hammer is not an instrument of blind rage. It is an instrument of extreme precision. Every painful blow you endured was actually shaping your spiritual edge. The intense fire was specifically designed to burn away the weak impurities hiding inside your soul. The old trauma melted away completely because you could not carry that heavy baggage into your new season of power. What remains in the crucible is pure and unbreakable spiritual steel. You walked into that dark fire as a heavy block of raw potential. But you are being pulled out of the flames as a highly calibrated weapon of mass disruption. The enemy wildly struck the heavy anvil, but heaven calmly guided the hammer to forge your ultimate crown. This extreme transformation beautifully mirrors the ancient cycle of the great eagle. When an eagle reaches the middle of its long life, its heavy wings become too thick to fly. Its sharp beak becomes dull and bent from years of hard survival. The magnificent bird is faced with a brutal choice because it must either accept a slow death or endure a painful rebirth. The eagle retreats completely alone to a high and desolate mountain peak. It sits in total isolation away from the rest of the busy world. And then it begins the brutal process of violently plucking out its own heavy feathers. It beats its dull beak against the hard rocks until it shatters completely. It looks exactly like a tragic and lonely death. If you watched the eagle in that lonely state, you would think it was over. You would see a weak and naked creature shivering in the cold wind. But the eagle is not dying on that mountain because it is intentionally molting to prepare for a massive future. It is enduring immense pain so it can grow new feathers and a sharper beak. You were not slowly dying during your long season of bitter isolation. You were molting. You were violently shedding the heavy feathers of your past trauma and your deep need to please everyone. The process was incredibly agonizing because your old identity was fighting hard to stay attached to your spirit, but you bravely let it all fall away. You broke your old ways of speaking against the hard rocks of reality. You sat in the cold wind of rejection and waited for your new armor to grow. And now the painful molting process is finally complete. Your new spiritual feathers are sleek and completely weatherproof, and you are perfectly built for a massive altitude. When the enemy sends their heavy storms against you now, you will not try to hide in the weak branches. You will fly directly into the dark clouds. Because the eagle is the only bird that uses the fierce winds of the storm to lift itself entirely above the turbulent weather. You will use their attacks to elevate your own massive platform. Your survival is an epic masterpiece written across the stars. You did not merely drag yourself across the finish line of this dark season. You completely evolved. You walked into the dark cave as a wounded victim of a cruel world, and you walked out as a completely different species of spiritual warrior. The unseen realm watches you with absolute awe right now. They saw the heavy fire and expected you to turn to useless ash. But you stood up in the middle of the flames and you simply refused to burn. Your deep resilience is terrifying to the darkness and absolutely glorious to the light. You wear your heavy scars like expensive royal jewelry. Those beautiful scars are absolute proof of your extreme pedigree. They tell the entire universe that you have been deeply tested by the fire and you did not break. You carry the permanent mark of the survivor, and that specific mark commands instant respect from every force trying to block your sacred path. They have to bow to your true authority. Before we go into the deepest layer of this revelation, I need you to do something very simple. Gently press the like button right now, so this exact blessing can reach another chosen one who feels like they are failing today. Your small action helps gather our powerful tribe. We need to remind them that they are also molting. Share this profound truth with someone who has survived what should have destroyed them. We are building a massive army of healed warriors. And once you do that, you must prepare your heart for the final piece of the beautiful puzzle, because there is a very quiet part of you that is still resisting this immense power. The external enemy is defeated, but the final battle is happening inside your own mind. There is a deeply hidden block that no one ever wants to talk about openly. And it is the only thing keeping you from fully possessing your new spiritual territory right now. Let us shine a bright light on that quiet shadow immediately. But here is the part that nobody ever wants to say out loud. The heavy spiritual storm has finally passed away. The external enemy has been completely and totally defeated. And yet you are still waiting for another heavy blow to suddenly strike you from the shadows while you hide in the dark cave. This brings us to a deeply hidden truth. I say this to you with nothing but pure love for your beautiful spirit. The thing quietly blocking your massive breakthrough right now is not the dark enemy anymore. It is not a toxic person from your painful past. The heavy block is actually hiding deep inside of your own mind, because you are completely terrified of your own massive power. You survived a situation that was absolutely impossible to escape. You walked directly through the blazing fire, and you came out completely unbreakable, but that immense new strength is entirely terrifying to you. You do not know how to safely operate in this massive level of spiritual authority yet, so you intentionally shrink yourself down to feel safe. You are purposely dimming your blinding light just to blend into the background. You believe that staying perfectly quiet will keep the dark forces from noticing you again. You are using your old survival tactics in a brand new season of massive victory. This is a completely natural response to severe spiritual trauma, but it is keeping you tightly bound to a past that no longer exists. You have spent your entire life trying to be invisible to avoid intense pain. You learned to tiptoe quietly so you would not disturb the chaotic people around you. And now heaven is handing you a massive and powerful megaphone. You are holding the heavy microphone in your hands right now, but you are absolutely terrified to speak your truth into the room. You are deeply afraid that stepping into your raw power will make you cruel. You fear that holding massive authority will eventually corrupt your beautiful and sensitive heart. You do not want to become like the toxic people who deeply hurt you. But your profound empathy is exactly the reason why heaven chose you, because it makes you the perfect safe container for this heavy mantle. A truly corrupted heart never actually worries about becoming corrupted. Your deep concern about using power correctly is absolute proof of your pure intentions. Heaven completely trusts you with this massive and important assignment. You are the only person in the entire universe who still refuses to fully trust your own capable hands with this beautiful gift. Playing small does not actually protect you from anything dangerous anymore. It keeps you trapped inside a tiny prison of your own careful making. The master blacksmith forged you in the hot fire for a massive and public purpose. You were meticulously formed in the blazing flames so you could confidently lead the army forward into the glorious light. The dark forces are absolutely thrilled when you constantly police your own spirit. They do not even have to lift a single finger to actively fight you. You voluntarily lock yourself inside a tiny cage and hand them the heavy key. You are doing their dark work for them when you suppress your beautiful gifts out of fear. And this toxic cycle must permanently stop today. You must drop the heavy and suffocating blanket of false humility right now. False humility is simply human pride wearing a very clever and spiritual disguise. True humility is fully accepting the massive assignment heaven gave you without constantly questioning it. You must stop wondering if you are good enough, because you are perfectly worthy of wearing this beautiful and heavy crown. You survived the brutal attack because you are a spiritual giant. Now you must actually learn to walk like a massive giant in the open light. Stop tiptoeing carefully around people who are deeply intimidated by your heavy footsteps. Let them be entirely uncomfortable with your massive spiritual growth, because shrinking down to make them feel better is a severe betrayal of your calling. Their deep discomfort is absolutely not your problem to solve anymore. You spent decades carefully managing the fragile emotions of everyone else in the room. You absorbed their heavy chaos so they could feel completely peaceful. But your new frequency requires you to finally drop that toxic responsibility, and you must let them carry their own heavy emotional baggage. You are allowed to take up massive space in this loud world. You are allowed to be loudly and unapologetically powerful in everything you do. The intense fire burned away your deep need for their constant validation. Do not let the lingering ghosts of your painful past dictate the massive size of your glorious and bright future. You must completely forgive yourself for being so deeply terrified. Surviving a brutal spiritual assassination attempt is incredibly exhausting for your human mind. But you are no longer just surviving in the dark trenches. You have officially crossed the sacred threshold into thriving, and the heavy armor that saved your life is now just slowing you down. Take off the heavy survival armor and breathe the clean air today. Your raw spirit is entirely bulletproof to their dark weapons now. You do not need the heavy iron shield to protect your beautiful heart anymore. Your high frequency is your ultimate protection against the dark forces, and you are completely sovereign over your own powerful energy field. This is the exact moment the heavy spiritual diagnosis is finally complete. The deeply hidden block is fully exposed to the bright and healing light. It can no longer control your quiet decisions from the dark and scary shadows. The enemy failed to destroy you, and now you are completely ready to step into the ultimate release of your beautiful and wild spirit. And now comes the pivotal moment where everything officially shifts for you today. The heavy season of painful preparation is finally and completely over. You have faced the absolute worst the dark forces had to offer, and you are standing in the glorious light with your beautiful spirit entirely intact. It is time to legally seal this massive victory in the unseen realm right now. I want you to stop whatever you are doing and physically prepare yourself. Place your right hand firmly over your beating heart right now. Feel the steady rhythm of your own survival pumping deeply within your chest. That beautiful heartbeat is absolute proof that the massive assignment against your life failed miserably because heaven refused to let you die in the dark. Close your tired eyes and take one very deep breath with me. You must declare this powerful truth out loud so the entire universe can hear your beautiful voice. Say these exact words with absolute and unshakable authority. I release the heavy need to be constantly needed by everyone around me. I completely release every single agreement I ever made with smallness and fear. I permanently sever the heavy cords tying me to my painful past. I am no longer a prisoner to the toxic people who deeply misunderstood my pure heart. I fully step into my divine assignment, knowing my deep isolation was holy preparation. The brutal attacks did not destroy my beautiful spirit at all. They only forged my ultimate crown in the blazing fires of adversity, and they made me absolutely untouchable to the dark forces that tried to ruin me. My massive breakthrough is not slowly coming toward me someday in the distant future. It is already here, and it is fully active inside my spirit right now. I walk forward today knowing I am perfectly chosen and meticulously prepared. I am standing exactly where heaven wants me to be in this glorious moment. The heavy weapons formed against my life have completely and permanently malfunctioned. I claim my absolute sovereignty over my own powerful energy field today, and I will never apologize for the blinding light I carry into the dark world. Let those powerful words settle deeply into your physical bones right now. You just executed a massive legal decree in the spiritual realm. The unseen world heard your loud declaration, and they are actively shifting everything to align with your new frequency, so you can finally step into your ultimate destiny without any hesitation. You are no longer waiting for permission to be magnificent. The heavy door to your past is now permanently locked behind you forever. You might feel a sudden and overwhelming wave of pure peace washing over your tired body. That is the massive weight of your old identity finally leaving your shoulders. You carried their heavy chaos for decades because you thought it was your holy duty, but your only holy duty now is to shine brightly and unapologetically. You do not have to fix broken people who absolutely refuse to heal their own deep wounds. The universe is currently dispatching premium resources directly to your front door. The beautiful things that were severely delayed by the dark forces are suddenly being released, and you will start to see incredible opportunities appearing out of absolutely nowhere. The tight financial blocks and the relational isolation are officially melting away in the bright light. You are walking directly into a season of extreme abundance and untouchable grace. Everything you lost during the brutal fire is being restored to you immediately. But it will not look like the old things you were desperately holding on to, because heaven is replacing the fragile glass you lost with completely unbreakable solid diamonds. The people walking into your new season will honor your massive frequency instead of draining it. You will finally experience the deep and authentic love you have always freely given to others. Do not look backwards and mourn the toxic connections that finally fell away. They were completely incompatible with the glorious giant you have become today. If they had stayed in your life, their small thinking would have slowly suffocated your beautiful dreams, so you had to endure the lonely cocoon to develop your massive wings in perfect peace. The dark sky is completely clear for your epic flight right now. Every single tear you cried in the dark was a necessary drop of pure gold. You paid a massive and heavy price to carry this beautiful anointing, and that is exactly why the enemy can never steal it from your capable hands. It was not handed to you cheaply on a silver platter without any sacrifice. You fought a brutal war in the spiritual trenches to earn this massive crown. You are officially dangerous to the kingdom of darkness from this day forward. They cannot use their old tricks of false guilt to manipulate you anymore, because your spiritual eyes are wide open and you can easily see through their pathetic lies. You will walk into every room, knowing exactly who you are and what you carry inside. The days of playing small and apologizing for your beautiful light are permanently over. Let the absolute truth of your divine sovereignty anchor your tired spirit right now. You are not a fragile victim who barely survived a terrible and random storm, but rather you are the unstoppable storm that heaven sent to permanently disrupt the dark matrix. The massive power inside of you is finally awake, and it is incredibly hungry for justice. The universe is standing back to watch you completely conquer your new territory today. The brutal season of your painful preparation is completely over today. You can finally take off your heavy spiritual armor and truly rest your tired bones. The dark storm has passed away forever, and it will never return to steal your peace again. You are totally safe now in this beautiful light, and your weary mind can stop anticipating the next heavy blow from the shadows. When you wake up tomorrow morning, you will notice a profound difference. The familiar and heavy weight on your chest will be entirely gone. You will finally open your tired eyes and feel a comforting silence that you have not experienced in many long years. That beautiful silence is not the cold isolation you used to deeply fear. It is the absolute peace of a secured victory. The enemy tried to end your spiritual life with a highly coordinated attack, but their dark plan failed miserably because heaven built you for a much higher purpose. You are not the exact same person who started watching this video today. The old version of you was fully consumed in the blazing fire, and the brilliant new version standing here is totally untouchable. You do not have to fight for your rightful place in the room anymore. Your massive frequency naturally commands deep respect without you having to say a single loud word. The toxic people who pulled away from you will look back and realize what they lost. but you will be entirely too high up the mountain to even hear their quiet regrets, because you are flying in a different atmosphere now. I want you to remember exactly how you feel in this very moment. Whenever the old fear tries to briefly whisper in your mind, you must return to this feeling of absolute sovereignty. The dark forces might try to test your new boundaries in the future, but they will quickly discover that the heavy gates to your soul are permanently locked shut. You have crossed the sacred threshold into your ultimate and beautiful destiny. There is absolutely no going backwards to the tiny places you completely outgrew. The tight shoes of your past will never fit your growing feet again, and the shallow waters of your old life simply cannot contain the massive and powerful ocean that you carry inside your beautiful spirit today. The profound exhaustion you are feeling in your physical body will slowly fade away. Your tired muscles have been carrying the heavy weight of a massive spiritual war for months. Give your human vessel the deep rest it requires without feeling any toxic guilt. You fully earned this quiet season of recovery by surviving a brutal assassination attempt, and heaven wants you to breathe easy. This is the glorious beginning of everything you ever hoped for in the dark. The universe is actively aligning premium blessings to perfectly match your brand new frequency. You do not have to chase after love or chase after empty success anymore. Everything that truly belongs to your premium assignment will naturally gravitate directly toward your bright light. You are broadcasting the signal of a winner. You will soon begin to notice very small and beautiful miracles happening around you every day. A sudden financial blessing will arrive just when you need it the most. A completely unexpected opportunity will knock on your door because your energy is finally clear. These are the sweet rewards for holding on to your pure faith, especially when everything else in your world was burning down to the ground. Share this exact message with someone who has also been called too sensitive their entire life. Send this to another chosen one who is currently crying in the dark, because they desperately need to know that their painful isolation is actually a divine preparation. We are building a massive global tribe of completely healed warriors, and your act of sharing can save another beautiful soul today. I want you to subscribe to this channel and turn on every single notification. You need to stay deeply connected to this high frequency as you navigate your new spiritual territory. The enemy desperately wants to isolate you from the profound truth of who you really are, but we will continue to release the exact revelations you need to stay firmly anchored. Leave a comment below and publicly claim your massive victory for everyone to see. Write the words, "My breakthrough is already here," to completely seal your powerful declaration. Your beautiful public testimony will give immense hope to someone else who is desperately reading the comments for a sign, and it will officially mark the beginning of your leadership. Heaven is incredibly proud of the massive resilience you showed in the dark pit. You could have easily chosen to become incredibly bitter and cruel like the people who deeply hurt you, but you fiercely guarded your soft heart against their contagious darkness. That pure choice alone is what qualifies you to carry this heavy and glorious mantle today. You are incredibly loved, and you are deeply protected by the highest forces of light. The brutal isolation you endured was truly a holy consecration. The intense sensitivity you always tried to hide from the world is actually your greatest spiritual weapon, and it will guide you perfectly through your next beautiful chapter. And the massive attack designed to destroy you only made you undeniably magnificent. Go forward today with a perfectly quiet mind and a wildly joyful heart. You survived the absolute worst fire they could ever throw at your spirit, and your refusal to break under the pressure has permanently shifted your entire spiritual trajectory. The world is waiting for the brilliant light that you have been hiding for so many years. Do not ever let anyone convince you to dim that beautiful shine again. Your glorious assignment starts the second this video ends today. Take a very deep breath and step fully into the massive ocean of your true calling, because you are perfectly safe and you are exactly where heaven needs you to be. You are the chosen one, and your incredibly beautiful life is just beginning to properly unfold.